he just kind of got stuck in a standstill. And, I know he still wrestles. I still see him post every once in a while, posters and promoting for shows that he'll be on, but it's, it's pretty few and far between. So honestly, I'm really not sure what happened and what kind of prevented him from expanding more. I don't know if there were outside circumstances or if it was a decision he made or what.
There's so many people I see like that I saw as being, like they're going to take that next step in 2013, 2014 in different areas. And he was just another one of those guys. And it's like, what the hell happened? You know what I mean? But sometimes, whether it's injuries or whatever, it's really weird, though, to look back in our rankings and things like that and just say, God, I forgot all about this person. They were so good, but what happened, So that's why it's kind of interesting to touch on the past a little bit. But okay, so working with guys, obviously that's kind of a common thing now, except in at least the main promotion, WWE. But on the indies, I mean, it's pretty much the thing, and you're still continuing on to this day with that. How do you make something like that? I get working with somebody but in terms of logistics of it, and I know working with Jessica Avoc's probably pretty close to this, but when you're 5'1", 100-some pounds, how do you make something like that look believable? Because somehow, when I watch women wrestle men, 90% of the time, you all do an amazing job of making me forget that it's a woman versus a man, and that the woman, in the real world might not have as much of a chance as they do in the world of professional wrestling.
Mm-hmm. Well, in my personal case, I do a lot of the same moves that I do to girls, I do to guys, because I do a lot of, a lot of kicks, a lot of strikes, and, it doesn't matter who you are. If you get hit, it's going to hurt. If you get kicked in the head, it's going to knock you loopy. So that's where I kind of try to aim, is to do something that I know no matter who I'm in the ring with, it would be feasible that if I kicked you in the head, I'll knock you out, And that's a lot of my offense is very strike-based. And then, in terms of defense, guys might hit me with bigger moves on occasion, but a lot of the time it's, reversals and evades and stuff like that to make it, so that they don't hit me and not, put me down. You know what I mean? I know what I'm trying to say. I feel like I'm having a hard time verbalizing it, but that's basically what I do in my case. I bring everything that I have. I hit hard, especially for a girl. There are a lot of guys in my training class that are like, oh no, she hits harder than a lot of guys that I know. And, it's like I do, not only am I a girl, but I'm a small girl. I'm a little tiny thing. So no matter who I'm in there with, I have to do everything that I can, put as much power behind it as I can, and, ultimately just do something that I know will affect whoever I'm in the ring with. Does that make sense? Or does that sound stupid?
Yeah, it does, because it's kind of like the idea of leverage. A smaller person, if they can get leverage, they have a chance type of thing. So it makes
exactly.
sense. I mean, it's just hard to kind of put in words. I know what you mean. But as far as the men versus women thing, does that help you as far as getting bookings? Because, okay, I'll give you an example. Like IWA Mid-South, they can say they have a broads division and all that, but let's be honest, the broads division consists of 3 people. Right. I mean, it's a revolving door, and that's true of a lot of other promotions, too. They don't have a women's title or a true women's division. It's picking up in a lot of places. Now, I know, of course, you can work in all the women's promotions that you do, but as far as working in some of those promotions that don't have a true women's division, has that helped you, being willing and able to work the guys, and getting more bookings?
Well, yes and no. Yes, in that, I feel like it's made me a better worker and a better wrestler all around. So I feel like no matter who I get in the ring with, whether I know you or not, whether I'm just meeting you for the first time, I can work with you and, make a good match out of it. So it has helped in that, but a lot of the indie wrestling companies that I work for that aren't the bigger companies, the Queens of Combat, Shimmer, and WSU, a lot of those companies are companies that are trying to build women's divisions, or that just bring in one-off specialty matches to say that they have a girls match on the show. So a lot of the bookings that I take outside of Rockstar really aren't intergender. There's been the occasional intergender match, but it really doesn't happen very often. It's not something that, that an outside promoter really contacts me for. Now, once I've got my foot in the door, I'm in a company for a while, then they're like, okay, well, I've noticed you've done this with these people and that with these. How do you feel about wrestling these guys on our roster? And of course, I'll say yes, because I don't have a problem with it. But it really hasn't gotten me extra bookings, really.
This is something that would be impossible for me to trace. I can look up your matches and things like that, and that's fine. But what I don't know, and this is hard for me to know, is that do promotions, and you may tell. I'm going to be surprised whatever you tell me because I don't know the answer. I really don't. Do promotions ever contact you? Okay, you're in a van load of guys or whatever that are going from Ohio to Chicago or wherever it might be. Have they ever contacted you, as strictly like valet or managerial work?
Honestly, I can't think of anyone who's strictly asked me to be a manager or a valet. I mean, there have been times where I've gone with the boys, because I live in Dayton. I live with a household full of guys, and they're all wrestlers. They're all traveling on various weekends, going different places. So there have been times when, if I don't have a booking, I'll hop in the car with them and then get a booking as a manager or a valet. But I've never been booked strictly as a manager or a valet. It's always kind of a matter of circumstance. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, I kind of figured that's where it would end up, but it's kind of hard to tell how many times that's happened or anything like that without, asking the question. Okay, right. So you touched on it, and I know this, and there's a combination of funny things at work here, okay? Number one, professional wrestlers are weird people, okay? I know this because I lived with a couple back in the early 2000s, and trust me, I just know this. But to live with a house full of guys on top of that, I have to ask you, what's it like? Tell us some stories.
Well, okay, so we have a basement that's full stocked gym. I mean, there are weights, there's a treadmill, there's an elliptical, there's a Smith machine, there's a curling bench. It's like a full gym in our basement. So at any given point of the day, I'm going to be trying to get in the shower or trying to get in the bathroom, and there's going to be somebody who's, oh no, I just took a lift. I just did a lift. I need to just take a quick shower. I need to do this. I need to do that. And then when you go into our kitchen, we have 2 refrigerators in our kitchen. One of them is specifically for the prepped meals that my roommates have. And then one of them is just kind of, a general refrigerator. And then in the corner, there's an entire shelf, I'm talking a 4-shelf, structure, just full of different protein powders and pre-workouts and, different vitamins and this and that and the other and BCAAs and all of this. So at any given point in my house, someone is either going to be downstairs blaring music, grunting while they're lifting, trying to get in the shower, working around each other, or mixing a protein shake. And that's literally every day of my life, every day. Other than that, they actually clean up after themselves pretty well. You'd be surprised. Other than that, they do play a lot of video games in the living room. But it's really not as bad as you would think. I mean, there have been times where, one of them has been in the bathroom for hours, primping or grooming for a show, because even though they're dudes, they still have to make sure that they're on top of their game and looking good for their bookings, their promotions. Because if they look sloppy, no one's going to want to book them, So
that's a funny thing. I don't think a lot of people outside of the wrestling world really think about how much of it, everybody always says, well, it's an entertainment business, but they don't think about the things that go into it for the talents involved. I mean, on top of the primping and all that, are you involved in the protein and the meal prep, or is it just kind of too hard for you to roll along with?
Well, I do my own meal prep. I know Dave, for instance, gets meals ordered. He does the pre-made meals and they get shipped to the house. There are a couple of them do that. I do my own meal prep probably about twice a week when I get the opportunity to. Sometimes things get a little hectic and I only get 2 once a week. Other than that, I do get in the basement, I go lift, and then we actually live very close to a cemetery in Dayton. So when we want to do cardio, we'll go on a walk through the cemetery and do that, which is great. It's, it's beautiful, it's peaceful. It's a nice place to take a walk. It really is. So I do all of that. They're a little bit more intense about it than I am, but I do partake in it all. It's also nice because there are several of them that can kind of, help guide me through it. Oh, you're taking this, well, you should probably take this instead. You need a multivitamin, make sure you get one with iron, stuff like that. So it's nice having them around because they definitely kind of steer me in the right direction.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I was one other thing as far as being around wrestlers and stuff, or just other, guy wrestlers is, I'm curious of, all right, so wrestlers also sleep weird hours. Are you on a strange schedule, or do you kind of have the normal real life schedule of sleep, or do you, like back in the day, I would know wrestlers who would, I don't know, they'd stay up for 36 hours straight and then sleep for 24 hours. It was really strange, but it's not strange to you all. So what's yours like?
Personally, mine lately has been a lot of sleep. Like a couple weeks ago, I quit my job, my 40-hour-a-week full-time benefits, all of that. I quit that to focus on wrestling. So while I had that job, I would get up at 6:30 a.m. Monday through Friday to get to work. I would work, Monday through Thursday, I would work 9-hour days. I would get off work. I would go straight to the Rockstar Arena on Mondays and Tuesdays. We would stay there until about midnight. We would get something to eat, go lift, or, whatever after. And then I would finally get into bed, sometimes between 12:30 and 1:30, usually, and then get up the next day and do it all over again. So I was only getting a few hours of sleep a night at that point. And then on the weekends, depending on where I was booked, driving to shows, driving back from shows, I can't tell you how many times I've gotten the most of my sleep just laying in my car at rest stops on the way home from shows. Like that was the majority of my sleep for a while because I would get so tired on the road that I had to pull over and sleep. I couldn't make it through the night if I tried. Now, lately, since I quit that job, I've been getting up and lifting 9:30 in the morning, still doing practice in Rockstar Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And then on the weekends, still traveling, still getting car sleep, if we get sleep at all. But I would, after practice, get a few more hours of sleep at least. So it's kind of been normalized the last couple of weeks here just because I've been using wrestling as my job, as my full-time job, instead of wrestling on top of another 40 to 45-hour week job.
I was going to ask you about that, to get rid of the shoot job and make professional wrestling, and this is where I assume you were going with this, professional wrestling is now the job. How hard of a decision was that for you? 6 years in, some people it takes, like Congo Kong was talking about this, it took him like 18 years before he quit his shoot job. That's crazy. Well,
I was, honestly, a big part of it was a conversation that I had with Sammy Callahan a few months ago. He came into town, stayed with us, did a seminar at Rockstar, and then was on the show later that night. And I drove him from our house to Rockstar for the seminar, and I was talking to him in the car on the way there. And he was like, I don't think you're quite where you can quit your job and make a living off of it yet. You're almost there. I'm proud of how far you've come. You're almost there, but I don't think you're quite there yet. So hearing him say that, I was like, all right, well, then I should probably learn to market myself a little bit better, get more steady bookings at, better companies. So that's what I was kind of trying to focus on doing for a while there. And I finally hit the point where I feel like, I'm making money on my bookings. I'm making money, merchandising and all of that at shows, selling things even online to people. So I finally feel like I'm to the place where I can live off of wrestling, even if I'm not living, comfortably right now, even if I don't have extra money to go out to eat every night or whatever, I can pay my bills. And that's what I need is to be able to live and to put more into it, because the more that you put into wrestling, the more you're going to get